What's up everybody, welcome to Royal Visuals. If you're new here, my name's Matt. If you're not, then welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to walk you guys through the latest video that I've done, which is the Ford Raptor commercial effect breakdown and how I put all the clips, sound and music together to create that sort of cinematic commercial. So without further ado, we'll jump into Premiere Pro and I'll just walk you through the sort of the basics of what I've done. See you in there. Okay, welcome guys to the breakdown of my remake of the Ford Raptor commercial. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this my own, put the sort of little Royal Visuals twist into it, and I'll be breaking it down from editing clips to the soundtrack choice and then finally the sound design which I put into this, and I'll run through and show you what it looks like with just the sound design, just the soundtrack, and then all together. So let's get started on this. So what I wanted to do for this is I want you to put a little bit of a build up and kind of build it up to the intro of the main advert, and then I wanted to slow it down to kind of give the advert a little bit of a chill kind of vibe, and then so I wanted to slow it down to build the tension, and then I wanted to then ramp it back up to the end. So we'll start with the first bit. So what I did here was I wanted to put this little choir in and just have little shots of the Raptor to sort of like to unveil it slowly with like little kind of bits of the grille, the overview of the back, say the Raptor logo, say nice detailed shots of the interior, which I think always goes down really well. And then this is like the unveiling of the car just before we get into the main bit. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to create some atmosphere and really... My thought process was to sort of get a big clap of thunder, and as the lights turn on, and that was kind of the big boom, right, we're into it. And I felt that kind of had a really good feel to it. So we'll just watch that bit and you can see what I mean. And also what I did here was I made this a little bit darker just to give it that little bit of more atmosphere with the clap of the thunder, so like in a storm. So what I'll do is I'll just turn off the lumetri colour. You can see how much more atmosphere it gives this clip with the added, with the sort of the darkness. It just gives it that sort of mobile vibe that there's a storm. And this soundtrack is something that I wanted to be a bit rocky, to kind of give it that kind of vibe, because it's quite a rough, rugged kind of vehicle, and I felt like this kind of heavy guitar riff really worked. So we're just going through the guitar riff, some really quick, fast-paced cuts, no fading. And we got to this bit, and this is where I wanted to really have a really good transition into the slow-paced part of the track, and say this took quite a while to get right because I needed to transition from the dust into a cloud. So I'll just run through that bit now and then we'll stop just after. So what I wanted to do was I just wanted that to be a really clean transition between dust to cloud to this aerial view. How I made sort of that transition work is we'll just enable that for the second. So what I did here is when we got from the dust to the cloud. I tried to mimic that colour, so I used a millimetry colour and I masked this bit out, as you can see here. So this was a more of a dusty coloured kind of cloud, and I feel that worked quite well from the dust to the cloud setting. We'll just enable this again so you can see. And then I just was careful on this next bit to just make sure I got this little mountain in the background lined up with the other scene, so it was just like a flash into the other scene because you come out the cloud and just fade away, and that felt like that worked quite well in that scene. I just wanted to add this little heartbeat into the clip. Just give it that little sort of slowed down, intense build up with the heartbeat, and I added the gear changes in just to give this a little bit more, say, atmosphere again, and it gave the scene a bit more action when you saw you going around. It's changing gear, it's fast paced, the driver's really rushing around. And I wanted to do that with the gear change with the clip change, because I felt that had a really good flow. It just wasn't in the middle of nowhere. It kind of adds to the clip changing. And this was just to build it back up. I felt like I wanted to add this bit that you've just seen with the Raptor eyes, because it was the last little bit. We've gone out of the quiet bit of the song, we're going back into the fast pace, and it was just a nice little build up, as well as changing as well as having the eyes open with the sound as well of the song. That I felt like that gave that intensity back to go jump straight back into the remainder of the commercial. And then we're back into the fast paced. And then to finish it off, we did just the sort of the built off sign to end it, and just let the music fade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what this clip is like with just the sound design, and I'll walk you through my ideas and why I chose the sound design for each individual clip and what I used, so it can give you an idea of what you can use to replicate other sounds, because you might be quite surprised on what sounds I used in this clip. So to start with, I use this atmospheric whooshing sound, which kind of gives it that, and there's another one. And these go from left to right, so if you're watching this with headphones on, you can hear on this bit, this kind of goes left to right to kind of give you a little bit more atmosphere as it's going from left to right inside your ears. And then we're getting to this bit where, as we are unveiling the car, I wanted to give it some bit more of a unveiling kind of sound, and I felt like a whoosh would give that unveiling kind of background noise. So this was kind of another whoosh. Just as the drone's coming out of shot. And then the thunder crack. And that's some dirt. And say hitting the camera, so give it a little bit of kind of depth to the sound. Whooshing, gonna give that transferring from left to right. And this is where it gets quite dense with the sound around this last bit. So getting in with the wind noise as well, just to give that a bit more of atmosphere, and we're starting the heartbeat, as well as the gear changes. And to how I made the gear changes was a combination of different clips. So we used a air compressor for that little kind of that impact, to kind of an impact sound, so like you'd hear with a gear compressor. So it seems like something's happening, and it's a quick action on a gear change, like kind of gives you that feeling of moving forward. And then there was a metal impact, which gave that impact of changing gears really quick, like pulling the paddle in the car. And that's followed up by another air compress, so it just kind of them two together with the air compress and the compact. I felt like that worked. You can hear that was so the low pass with the air compress and the impact. And a third one. And for this one, it's just a bit of dirt impact. This is just spinning around. And they used the heartbeat, as I said before, to just give it a little bit more of a intense feeling to this bit. And here I used the thunderclap just as the lightning in the background behind the release in a Raptor. You got more dirt hitting the and that's it. That's the sound design. So as you see, without the music, it's not that exciting. The music gives it that little bit more depth and feel to the overall clip, and it just makes you a bit more engaged, because it's a very rock kind of inspired clip, and I feel that gives you the intensity of what's happening, and sort of draws the viewer in. So that's the sound design, and I'll play that just from here, where you can see all the sound design happening at once. So as you can see there, that was the sound design, and that's on the actual advert. So that's, I was saying, it's just like individually doesn't sound that good, but when you put it all together, it just transforms the entire video. So what we'll do now is I'll enable the music back, and we'll go through that just one more time, and you can see with everything put together. And there we go, that's everything together. So now we've gone through that, what I'll do is I'll just disable the sound because we don't need to hear that anymore, and we'll get into the whole editing and sort of clip selection and why and where I put these clips for the reason. So as I said near the start of this video, I wanted this as an unveiling, so a slow dip to black transition, so it unveiled the front of the car as the camera was moving in. Thought this was a good entrance, especially as I said before with the whole, say, opera kind of choir style music I've had for the start of this, for the build up. And then we move on to the, say, showing little bits of features of the Ford, and so unveiling the back and then slowly unveiling the car. These are just all like sharp cuts at the moment, but I've put a little bit of like dip to black just so it smooths that transition between a couple, say from the getting closer from the exterior shot to the closer in and then going to the interior like details, the stitching, and then back to outside as it unveils the car again, as we're getting further into the unveiling the car and getting into the main video. So I put this together because it was Ford Performance and it was the start of the video. So I wanted to put this one here because I felt like it was a really good opening with the dark and moody, and then the light switching on, tying in with the start of the soundtrack and the thunderclap. It was a very good sort of start, and impactful start to the video. It was an impactful start to the video, so that's why I chose it this way. And then we move into the action straight away with the car driving past, and then I want you to kind of get into a bit more of the action with the car driving past. So I wanted to get into a little bit more of the action, so I chose to choose this car with the Raptor going over the bumps, and it was like intense. It matched the pace of the overall video, so this is why I went for a couple of these clips. And I stitched these together because I wanted, as it came across, I wanted to stitch these in roughly the same area, so it was going in the same direction. It wasn't mix match, and I just wanted to add these in so it made the flow of the video overall better. So we can see that, and then it flicks back to that one, and so it kind of goes between 3 clips. So it goes into this one, into the other clip where it's spinning around, and then matched up as best I could with this, so it went back into the other clip, but it was still on the left side of the track. And so I just wanted to keep the overall pace. And see, these are all just the overall pace of the car, overall pace of the sort of Raptor travelling very fast down sort of this desert dirt track. Some undershots of the car, and say the rest was following very kind of hard cuts to have that impact, fast paced feel to the video, keep that going as a theme. So, and then we get into the cloud transition, as I already talked about. I did the colour grading and I felt that tied in very well, and it just matched everything up, and then the unveiling of this one, and then into the slow paced. And I use this because I wanted to bring back the thunderclap with the lightning, and this is a clip I've made previously, which I didn't have a use case for, but I thought this fitted in really well with the orange and sort of the blue kind of lightning flashes in the background. Felt that tied in very well to the overall thunder and the heavy rock style of the soundtrack, and again with the thunder track. And then I wanted to put something that represented the Raptor and how this car would make you feel driving it. And this next clip of the woman with the raptor eyes, I felt like that was a good addition to the clip, where it was, I tried to make it as realistic as possible. I wanted to give it a really good vibe, so I incorporated this. I used this in After Effects, and I will do a tutorial on how I made this at a later date if anyone's interested. So if you want to comment below if you want to know how to do this in After Effects and Premiere Pro, I can show you guys how to do that. So that's what I did with this, and I wanted to open the eyes of the woman as the soundtrack burst back into life, and this matched up quite well. And it's all about matching the soundtrack to the clips and sort of getting the right impact at the right time. And then I just wanted to finish off with a little bit more action, and then eventually the Raptor parking up, and that's the end of the video. And of course the Ford built Tough coming in for one last impact. So in terms of grading, I wanted to go for a darker effect on this. So you can see here, I did a bit of colour correction, but I used a lot for this, and I feel like this made it look a little bit better, less light in some scenarios, and just gave it a really good cinematic look. So the overall theme of the video made this a little bit darker, a little bit more cinematic. And for this one I masked out the sky, so I'll show you that now with the mask. So a little bit darker, using the lumetri, just brought down the exposure and brought up the contrast and just made it a little bit more cinematic, and I felt that worked out really well. And I used the same LUT as I did here on the rest, and as I said before, I just made this a little bit more orange and kind of as brown and dusty as possible. And yeah, that's all that I've done with this commercial. I can go over my other, I can break down my other cinematic car films and show you guys how I used them and what I did, and sort of even some camera moves to create some effects in them videos, and how I matched it to the soundtrack. My overall breakdown of the Raptor 2021 commercial remake. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll go back to the camera now. So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little breakdown and walkthrough of my editing process on the Ford Raptor commercial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please leave a like and a comment letting me know what you thought. And if you aren't subscribed to this channel, then if you can please subscribe, that'll be great. It'll help me out a lot. And with that said, I'll see you next Thursday. See ya!